All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, hopefully you can hear me and see me. I'll give you guys a second to sync up. It's probably a little bit of a delay. There was technical difficulties this time around as well, but hopefully this is if you remember our last stream, we were dropping in and out a little bit. So this time around, I'm not hosting the stream myself. I'm using a streaming service. So it did take a second to log back in and get things running, but hopefully this will be a much smoother experience for you guys. So let me see. Yep, you can see me. I don't, for some reason, have chat on my end, but that's okay. I have another screen. Awesome. All right, how do I sound? Can you guys hear me well? And then we'll kind of jump into the update, and we'll go from there. Make sure you can hear me. Oh, thank you guys so much. Yep, I can see the chat over here. Okay. So, quick introduction while things are... I don't know how long of a delay I have. It should be only a little bit. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Nathan. I am one of the three. Out of the three, I am one of the three co-founders of the Election Truth Alliance. And, we helped make this nonprofit organization called the Election Truth Alliance about, I think we're 5-6 months old now at this point. It's felt like a lifetime, but then it's also felt like time has flown by. So it's crazy to look back and see all the things we have done. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. So what we're going to be doing in this live stream today, this is also kind of like a test live stream because this is we want to start doing maybe weekly type live streams like this where we'll give you updates. We'll bring on other ETA members. So that is still in the works. And so we're going to talk about Pennsylvania in this live stream. We're going to talk about our week of action. If you've not seen any of our posts, we'll go over that. We'll talk a little bit about our legal situation, what we're doing. And I'll highlight, I want to be as transparent as possible, but I also don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to kind of giving up what our game plan is and when and where. But I'd like to be as transparent. And then I'm going to kind of jump into some of the things we've been working on the last week or two, things we put out, things that are still in the works and up and coming things. So here we go. Let's see if we can get this to pop up for you. Oh, yep, there we go. All right. Here it is. So I'm going to kind of walk us through a few things. Let's highlight first and foremost, our current website still is, electiontruthealliance.org. We've adjusted a few things here. Let me see if I can get this pulled up for me. There we go. Not sure where this is hosting. Oh, here we are. All right. Can we see this? We should be able to now. So we did improve our website just a little bit. We're going to be moving to a new website in a week or so, maybe longer. But this current website has helped us so far, but we want more customized options. But let's highlight what we're working on right now, right? Pennsylvania. So this week, starting from Memorial Day going onward, we have created a call to action. This came out of a live stream with Sons of Liberty. I'll talk about them here in a minute. But here is your call to action. This is what we are pushing for this week. This goes hand in hand with our legal plans for Pennsylvania. And so on Monday, we were telling people to email and write letters, right? Reach out to anyone and everyone and use our templates, our contact information. So we have our Audit Advocacy Toolkit. I'll pull this up for you just because I have had some questions. We have had some questions. So let's pull it up and I'll walk you through it real quick. So here it is. It's on our website. And the way this works, this is all just kind of additional information. What you want to do is you want to click on this. And a lot of people say, I can't click on the links. That is true. Because of the way we're hosting it, you have to download it or open it up in your web page, and then you can click on the links. So this is updated as of yesterday, I believe. Lily and our writing team killed it on updating some of the new templates. And for example, we have emails. We have kind of a reaching out to your local or your state officials and then your higher level officials like senators and reps. So you can click on any of these links and it'll actually kind of take you to these templates, which are included in the PDF. So if for some reason the links don't work, you can just scroll down. I really like these. David actually, we put up a video on our YouTube, I think yesterday, or maybe this morning. And he actually reached out to one of his local representatives, I believe. And it's not a very hard script. So let's say you're going to do a call and you want to call someone, you're going to say, hey, my name is, Nathan, and I am either a constituent or not of your area. And they like that because if it's a rep, they are required to listen to their constituents. So it is important if you're calling someone who's local to you. And then you can talk about, hey, the Election Truth Alliance, nonpartisan grassroots organization, has been conducting statistical analysis of the 24 election. And their findings are concerning, right? They're finding concerns across Pennsylvania and other swing states of potential manipulation that could have changed the outcome of the election. And I'm very concerned, and I would like to request that you guys actually conduct a forensic audit of the 2024 election, general to you. It's very simple stuff like that. The purpose of this, and this is what's important, is we need a public outcry, right? We need your support to make sure that they can't say I didn't know, right? They can't say I haven't been getting thousands of phone calls, thousands of emails, and I don't know what you're talking about. Because our next step, and I'll kind of transition here into why is this important? Well, our next step going into this week and next is we need the support of the state government. That is the easiest and most direct way to get audits, to get a hand count of the paper votes. The legal avenue, which we've been gearing up for, and goes hand in hand with this, it is a much longer and harder process, expensive process. So our goal, first and foremost, is to, by the time we get to Friday, we want to have scheduled another meeting with the Secretary of the Commonwealth, that's Al Schmidt, or the Governor of Pennsylvania. And we don't want them to be surprised or not know, hey, this is a thing, and this has been, thousands of people's reaching out. And so that is going to be our call of action this week. If you're able to help today, the 27th is reaching out directly to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia County, and their Board of Elections. So you can call them, you can email them. I would just say raise the concerns of election fraud. We did actually quantify the numbers based on our analysis and Dr. Mebin's analysis. Over, I think, the entire 3 counties here, we're looking at up to 28 to 30,000 anomalous votes that could be caused by manipulation. We can actually break this down more, and we may highlight that in coming days. That has been some of our work I'll jump into. But that is our week of action. And so you're going to say, hey, legally speaking, what's our plan here, right? We have received donations. What are we going to do with them? Excellent question. Here's your legal update. So the ETA has received, I think at this point, over $100,000 in direct donations, grassroots donations from you guys. And what we are doing with this is we have retained lawyers. We have now in-house lawyers that are volunteers that are working with us, and that's cutting our costs a lot. It's really nice. We have some amazing legal volunteers. And then we have, in order to pursue lawsuits, if the counties and the states aren't willing to come to the table, we need a licensed lawyer in each place that we are doing these lawsuits. So for Pennsylvania specifically, we had to get licensed lawyers for Pennsylvania. So that was our next step. We're good now. And so what comes after this is as I said, we still want to talk to the Secretary of State, in this case, the Secretary of Commonwealth, because Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth, and their governor. Why? Because they have the power. The state government has the power to actually conduct these audits and it not require a long legal challenge. It would save us time and energy. If for some reason they are not willing to meet with us, they will deny our request. We're going to put in a couple more formal requests. There's a process to do it. You can call their office and say, hey, I'd like to formally, request a meeting with this person because of XYZ. Here's who we are. So we're going to be following up this week of action with that formal request again. And hopefully then they'll be willing to sit down with us. I have had some responses from some state governments so far, and normally they'll talk about, hey, our audits were conducted, our investigations, our risk limiting audits, and we inspected the equipment. We didn't find anything then. That means everything's good, right? And that's their argument. Is I'm saying, no, that's incorrect. Our data shows concerns. 2, Pennsylvania's audits, for example, wouldn't be significant or wouldn't be likely to catch digital vote manipulation. They also undersampled the largest counties, which is where we're finding and have published our concerns. So their audits wouldn't be sufficient. Their risk limiting audits just check the machines. It doesn't matter if the machine's counted correctly before or after the election. If there is malicious code or whatever on the machines, it's going to occur at a set window. So you'd bypass the audit. These are some good concerns they had, and we answered these concerns. So hopefully that'll allow us to sit down and talk. And we go from there. And the other half of where these donations you've been giving us go to is legal, but then also paying for the recounts. If the county's like, hey, we want to count X thousand amount of votes, that's going to cost time and money. We're going to say, okay, we can help cover those costs. We can pay you to do this so that we can inspect the ballots. So that's all part of the process. And then you may have to ping me on any good questions. I can look through the chat for a second. Excuse me. Let's see here. One moment. We'll look at a few questions here, and then we'll circle back around. I think Lily's in the chat right now answering questions for you guys, so hopefully that'll help you. Thank you guys so much again for your donations. Let me highlight this. As I said, we raised over $100,000 in donations. We've existed for less than 6 months. So that is insane. I'll be honest, when me, Lily, Jive, David, Nate, all of us kind of got together and said, hey, we got to do something about this. We want to investigate the election. We didn't know how far we would come. We didn't know if we would exist as an organization after election night or after the certification of the election. So it's insane to see how far we've come and how much engagement there is. I see people talking about our work all over the place now. I am disappointed the news still won't cover us. We have reached out directly to some news organizations. They're not there yet. It's going to take a little more time. It's going to take a little more data. It's going to take some more pressure from you guys. But thank you guys so much. Let's see. I think that covers any really good questions. We've not had any formal responses from the state yet. As I said, we're going to be legally following up and actually filing a formal response and a formal request. And that requires a little bit more legalese. And that's where our lawyers come in. So, all right, we'll transition on here. So that was your week of action. Please, if you've not seen this yet, please go check this out. It's on our website. It's on our Blue Sky. It's on our YouTube. Share this if you can. I need your help. I need your voices. I need you guys calling. I want them to know. I want to make sure that they can't say we didn't know as things progress here. And this is just one of many initiatives we're probably going to kick off in the future. Pennsylvania is our focus right now because there is so much going on in Pennsylvania. All right. So what have we been up to, right? What have we done the last couple weeks since we last spoke? So I am very happy to say we have released I can close these down for you. We have released, actually, there's one more thing, and that is in the sense of Pennsylvania. Here is our petition, our hand count audit of Pennsylvania. We're up to 26,000 or so signatures. It's slowed down just a little bit, but that's okay. That's still a lot of signatures. That's still a lot of people. And sad to say we have had no formal response from the Board of Elections or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in these. But I really like this. People can add their personal text and people can add their videos. I love these videos. We actually did highlight some of these videos since these are public on our petition. We did put these up on our YouTube. If you guys want to make videos like this, I would just be concerned, hey, if you're not comfortable with being a little more public and you want to be anonymous, these videos probably aren't for you to make. But if you want to make more of these supporter voice videos, these are really awesome. We're going to highlight these going forward too. So if you want to say a little bit, say, why does this matter to you? This is super important. All right. And we do actually send out email updates with this petition. So if you did sign the petition or you do sign the petition, you may get a little extra email update asking you to join our newsletter. Our newsletter is on our website as well. And you can join it. It's at the bottom of the page, but we also have a direct link. So please, if you want some more consistent updates going forward, we have our email and our newsletter. And this is how we can update you on legal stuff, on new data, on new calls to action as we go forward. So this will help a lot. Okay, let's jump into one of my favorite things, and this is the data dashboard. You've probably seen this before. If you've watched our videos, if you watched some of our work, we've been highlighting this, but we've not released it. It is now public. You can get to it at data.electiontruthealliance.org. Super simple. And it is currently, it shows you the public data sets that we've put up we have California as a baseline, we have Nevada, and we have Pennsylvania. So these are the three places we really like to put in our reports. California is kind of hey, this is what normal may look like. And then Nevada is, our source. So Clark County, for example, and then early voting. And this is, if you've seen this before, here's the, whatever you want to call it, alligator mouth, as some people like to say, but all it is it's showing that separation. I like to remove one candidate. You can really see how cut off this is. And this is strange, especially when you compare it to election day, where, you know, we cut one off, we get a more full distribution. So our dashboard will let you download this data, share it, turn it into a PDF or PNG, and it kind of walks through where can you find the data sources, and, you know, how do you work with the dashboard, and what is this based off of? Well, in this case, this is our own look at a distribution analysis, but Pennsylvania as a whole, this is based off of, you know, the work of Sergei Sphilkin and Peter Klimek, who are election experts in Europe, and they've looked at Russian elections and other elections, and they have kind of a way of looking at this data. And that's the turnout analysis, which you've probably seen, this cross as turnout increases. So go check out our dashboard. We're going to be putting new data up on this dashboard as we release new analysis for North Carolina, for Iowa, for other places like that. We will put their data up on the dashboard so that you can download it yourself. You can learn these analysis or figure out how to do your own and do it on other places. So, do we have an account on Sky Social? We do not. I've not actually heard of Sky Social. Perhaps that's something we should make an account for. All right. Yeah, North Carolina is our next push. So that'll be the next data set. That'll be the next report. I think we're looking at we'll see where we're at by the end of this week for putting that report out. And then we'll jump into the next portion, which goes hand in hand with that. And that is Dr. Walter Medman. If you don't know who this guy is, he is a big deal, in my opinion. And the ETA loves him and loves his work. He has been amazing to collaborate with a little bit, and I'll highlight what we've been doing. So if you've not seen one of our recent YouTube videos, we put up Dr. Medman's report. He did a working paper and analysis using his statistical model. And so he's a leading U.S. election expert. He works at the University of Michigan. He's in statistics. He's in, I believe, political science. And he's been known for doing statistical analysis of elections. And he's done, I think, over 7 different papers and put them out there. He's looked at 2020. He looked at 2019 European elections. He's looked at and published his concerns and his findings. And I do want to highlight, we reached out to him, and he then had enough time and was interested to run the 3 counties in Pennsylvania that we did our Pennsylvania report on. So we are now hosting his paper on our website, his working paper, and it's based off of our Pennsylvania analysis. We said, hey, let's look at these 3 counties, Erie, Allegheny, and Philadelphia. We at the time weren't able to estimate potentially manipulated votes. We could just say, hey, this looks strange. We can now do that. We can now estimate. So we estimated by the end of this report up to 30 or so thousand, maybe a little less, maybe a little more anomalous votes that we are concerned could be caused by digital vote manipulation. And so Dr. Medman, he ran those 3 counties in his model, eForensics, and he found some interesting concerns. So we summarized his report here, but what he found is he found approximately up to 29 or 28,000 fraudulent or distorted votes across Pennsylvania. A majority of that is in Philadelphia, largest, most populated county. And then what's really important here is this is 24% of the state margin of victory. 3 counties is 24% of the statewide margin of victory. And so there's 64 other counties that we now have the data for. We've asked him to analyze, and we do have some concerns coming up. We did our own analysis and estimated a large amount of votes. So we'll be highlighting that in upcoming reports. And the last little bit is, as I said, Philadelphia County. But what's really interesting, and it is highlighted here, is a majority of the concerns was occurring on election day. Mail-in looked far more normal. Like what we saw in Nevada, mail-in looks far more normal, less anomalies, and it generally is more pro-Democrat. So it's interesting to see that election day is where a majority of the anomalies are occurring. And, excuse me, I do want to highlight that we have been diving deeper into 2020, and a majority of the votes in 2020 were mail-in voting. So I find that very interesting. And we'll highlight that more as we go forward. If you want to read his paper and his work, here's his work highlighted by us, another PDF, and then his paper here. It is very dense. It is practically in code, but it is amazing, and we'll hopefully have more like this in the near future. So, okay, now we'll kind of jump into some of the social media stuff we've been working on, and upcoming outreach as we go forward, and we keep fighting the fight for getting physical audits. So the ETA right now is we kind of have multiple initiatives going on. We have volunteers who work on data and help make the reports. We have volunteers who are creators, right? They make us our really awesome posters and stickers. If you've not seen these posters or stickers and you want to use these are really nice. You can come here, and we've got Verify the Vote. We've got all kinds of cool little things. We'll actually, I think we have some more we can update on here. So Lily, maybe we make a note of let's improve our sticker armory, if you will. But we have multiple groups of volunteers. So we have some people who all they do is make social media posts and help generate support. They're volunteers, so we're not paying for a lot of our social media engagement. That's really helping us just kind of get the word out there. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to try and get a little louder. We're going to have more targeted weeks of action. We're going to have more visits on podcasts and shows, and do our own live streams, because that really helps us get the word out there. And it goes hand in hand with the work we're doing. So, all right. So if you've not heard of these amazing people before, I was recently on a live stream actually with these gentlemen. Here it is. It was 6 days ago, and it's the Sons of Liberty. This is a group. They have a YouTube channel, and they're mostly at this point a patriotic group of somewhat pro liberal in this case. But as I said, the ETA is nonpartisan, so we will we'll actually probably be doing some outreaches to some more strong Republican and Democrat groups, because we're not partisan. We can't really pick and choose. It's just let's talk about the data. So in this case, they're a little more left leaning. It's an interesting group of people. They've been engaged in protests. They've got a lot of veterans, which is what really made us want to talk and reach out to them. Veterans are a very important thing, especially this week and yesterday. So this was an interesting group, very interesting live stream. Go watch their live stream. It's on their YouTube channel. I think we put up posts ourselves. It was very interesting because we kind of went over Pennsylvania. We talked about things, and they brought up a lot of good questions. So maybe there's some questions that you didn't think of. You go watch it, and they'll answer those questions for you. So that was awesome. I'd love to do more meetings with them. There was one thing. The fun thing is they said at the beginning, they've never had a PowerPoint on their live stream before. So we were the first. So that was awesome. So awesome opportunity. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do next, right? Today, this evening, actually, around 6:30, 7 p.m. EST, the Patty Vasquez show. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. Patty Vasquez, I believe. She does a radio talk show, and it gets played in Chicago in the northern Great Lakes area. So I actually was on her radio show once before. I kind of did a quick, hey, here's who we are, here's what we're doing, a while ago. And they asked me, hey, do I want to come back and talk a little bit? So I'll be kind of doing a little, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Yep. And here's their post 3 hours ago. We're going to be, Nathan Taylor, Election Truth Alliance, with some I love it, fishing voting data. They're Great Lakes area, so they talk about this. And they did put up our little stuff. That might not be me as a photo, but actually, I think this is one of their co-founders. Let me look here. And I imagine it is, outside of the box. But you might be able to tune in. I think there's some radio apps. This is their Wisconsin, Chicago radio, and they're awesome. And I hopefully we'll just kind of be able to talk things through. I love hearing their thoughts. We're going to be doing some more focused work on Wisconsin soon. So I think they'll be very interested. And that is the Heartland Signal. Awesome. Any questions while we're here? All right. Yeah, I see some awesome things in the chat. I believe this chat will be saved with this video, so we can go back and pull some data from it. Our next big push when it comes to social media and content creation, we now have like a new media email. So we're going to be doing some mass reach outs to small and medium and large content creators so that we can go and talk. This will be important because as we're going forward this week into next, as I said, we got this North Carolina report, but now we can quantify data. We can tell you the amount of votes look potentially manipulated. I can give you a number now, and that's huge because that lets us say, hey, could this have been enough to change the outcome of the state races or the election as a whole? And we'll be talking about that in our upcoming releases. So, all right. And let's see. So yeah, here it is as well. Driving It Home. That is her show, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. So go check them out. They're awesome. Go give them some love and support. If you can tune in, awesome. If not, I think this gets uploaded to their YouTube channel. So, okay. And then kind of to wrap up our big plans for outreach soon, we are scheduled, I believe, to go next week on Mark Thompson show again. I don't know if they've scheduled the meeting yet. They've not. We were looking at next week. I believe it's confirmed. It may shift, but we're looking at maybe next Tuesday around 3:30 p.m. EST, I think. We'll go and talk to Mark Thompson again. He's hosted us twice now, I think. Once for Nevada to kind of introduce everything. We owe him a lot because that really helped us blow up. Jessica Dinson helped platform us in DC, helped talk about the concerns. And then she had actually kind of connected us with Mark Thompson. So give them, love and support for being able to stick their necks out there and talk about this when in the beginning, no one was willing to talk about election concerns. It has been a taboo thing. I will say, Smart Elections was willing to fight this fight and talk about this. Odd Elections USA was willing to talk about this. But when it comes to like content creation, social media, it has taken us a long time to get here. So we have a follow-up with him. We may reveal some new things on this show. We may give you some hard numbers. This time around, I'm going to try and avoid spending 30 minutes looking at graphs, which I know you guys love. I know. We're going to talk a little more big picture, right? I'm going to say, hey, here's the important things. Here's why this matters. Here's the numbers. Here's the facts. And we'll spend less time looking at individual graphs and more talking about everything as a whole. And I think that'll probably help you guys. But if you want the data, I'm happy to make more data videos. We'll put those up on our YouTube. I think we'll have 3 different videos coming up here soon when I get around to actually recording them, talking about the 3 different types of analysis we do. But I digress. Mark Thompson show, that'll be awesome. All right, so we'll wrap back around. What else is coming up? So as I said, we have the Chicago release coming out, and we've posted data about Iowa. We're going to have a lot more YouTube video pushes soon. So Iowa Part 2 is going to be a big focus where we're looking at all the races in Iowa we can get our hands on. We did highlight the presidential race. We did highlight Ann Seltzer's work, where she had predicted, the election outcomes. Here's something important I think you guys should know about and talk about is some of the common pushbacks I see with election integrity concerns. They're saying, hey, the machines aren't connected to the internet. We did audits, so everything's good. And the polls match the results. On the last one, that is absolutely incorrect. Go look at Ann Seltzer's poll for the 2024 election. Her polling data showed a different picture than the results. And she was actually sued not once, but twice by 2 different organizations. One, I believe, was founded by Trump at the time, and the other is a Republican organization, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one. But I think that's very interesting that she was one of the most respected pollsters and most accurate, and she really did her work. And she was very far off the mark from the results of this election. And then she got sued for it. So that is very interesting. So when people say the polls don't reflect the results, or they do, in this case, look at Ann Seltzer's poll. Look at some of the other poll experts out there. I think Dr. Alan Lichman. And so I do highlight that polls can be manipulated. Data can be manipulated. So keep that in mind. Always ask for the sources. Always ask for, a third-party review. And that's the point, is if something's true and real and the data doesn't lie, it should be reproducible. So, all right. And as I said, we'll have North Carolina is our big push. We're going to look back at Nevada and actually do some more deep diving in Nevada. We've not published a lot of the new things we found there. Iowa as well. We'll have another follow-up. And then we're diving into Wisconsin, Florida, perhaps, and some other places as well in the near future. So thank you guys so much. We'll jump into kind of some targeted questions. And I think that really covered all of the important things I wanted to highlight. So now we kind of get some questions and answers here. So let's see. All right. I see there's a good couple questions talking about conspiracies. What's our opinion on accounts like Tundra, Carnage, and Bad Company? I'll be honest, I'm not familiar directly with those. We do avoid conspiracies. For example, we avoid conspiracies about the voting equipment. And the reason why is because the data paints a very clear picture. And so when you get into conspiracies, what's funny is people say conspiracies, are silly. Well, all a conspiracy is just it's a group of people who've conspired to do something. In our case, we avoid a lot of the conspiracies that can't be directly backed up with data, that can't be backed up with evidence. That's just because in this case, we have data of potential election fraud, election manipulation, and so that the data backs up concerns of the tabulation machines. But we can't really get into the conspiracies behind those machines. It's not. It's not going to be well received, and it's probably not going to be accurate. And that's what's important is we want to be accurate. We want to get you guys the truth. We want to highlight the data, and we want to make sure that everything is well looked at before we put something out. And that makes it a little harder on us. We can't jump on certain things. So, all right. Do I have a link to the show I'll be on later today? It'll be a radio. So no, we don't have like a direct link. If you do want to listen in, we'll put up a post. If we haven't already, we'll put up a post on our Blue Sky on our YouTube, but you'll have to get a radio app or something and listen into the actual radio station. So it's not a live streamed on YouTube event, sadly. It's talk time radio, driving radio people listen to. So good question though. Yep. And as I said, we'll be doing some reach outs. So if there's content creators you guys think we should be talking to, put it in our comments. I read the comments, by the way. And let me highlight again. So the ETA, it's not just Nathan in a trench coat. We have all kinds of people. So sometimes you'll get responses from ETA volunteers that are anonymous. They can't really put their names out there or their faces out there. I do want to highlight why. So we did recently have some interesting things happen. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name locations, but we had a person who was really engaged with ETA who had reached out to their state government themselves and identified themselves and said, hey, I wanted to have a meeting about some things with their state government. And they had an interesting response. So I believe they had, they had some follow up that kind of put them at unease. So I just want to highlight, make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. This is important work. Our volunteers are protected. That's my number one responsibility is I can be public. I can sit here and I can put my face out there and my name out there and go and do these things, but not everyone can. People have lives, jobs, and families. So you do as well. Take care of yourself first. Don't put yourself in a bad situation for us. Protect yourselves because at the end of the day, this fight, right, for our democracy, for our elections, for the truth and transparency, this is a long battle. This doesn't end tomorrow. We're in it for the long run, right? And so it starts today by getting this out there, connecting people. But as we go forward and we get our audits and we look at the votes and we find, was there manipulation or was there not? The battle doesn't end there. And I need you guys safe. I need you, able to help us fight the fight then as well as right now. So don't burn yourselves out. Don't put yourselves in bad situations. Take care of yourselves. That's how we win, is we work together and we keep pushing together. So interesting. All right. What other questions we got here? Any good ones before I kind of wrap up? Yeah. Mueller, she wrote, excellent point. We can probably reach out to her directly. Maybe we write that down here. I'll take notes. I have seen her work. And so Mueller, she wrote is awesome. I love any type of like writing based stuff. As I said, we've not really had any progress in the news, as you would say, even some independent news. So I'd love to talk to more like independent, smaller content creators and people who kind of have the ability to say, I want to do this because I can and not get told, no. So, yep. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, and Lily's in the chat now, I think, talking about some different resources here that you guys can go check out with voting system vulnerabilities. I'm not seeing any other crazy messages, as I said. Going forward, we're looking at trying to get on to some of the larger political type talk shows. I think I don't have any updates right now, but we are working those. Our Mebane report, our PAA report, and our upcoming North Carolina report may open the door for a lot more outreach. So that'll be huge. Any efforts reaching out overseas? Yes. Excellent question. We have multiple plans. We've reached out, and we are going to reach out now and do another mass media push to get into some non-US news, like European news, Canadian news, news in the UK. Why? Because we feel like they're more willing to talk about these concerns. And Dr. Mebane is really useful for kind of getting this out there because he is an expert. He's well received. He has done this work before. So him validating our concerns is going to really help us. All right. Yep. And we'll have more Substack posts. We'll have more email. I can't remember, we'll have more outreaches going forward. YouTube videos, Substacks, and our newsletter. That'll hopefully help us keep in touch with you guys as things progress. So, and the Onion. Yeah, well, the Canary, the Onion, there's some good ones. Wired is interesting. The Guardian. So I'll be honest. When it comes to a lot of those higher profile news organizations, the pushback we've gotten is they are concerned, one, about credibility. For example, I feel like it's easier to talk about something when other people are talking about it. So we haven't yet hit that breakthrough where the news can start talking about other news, talking about us. It's still a big step for a lot of these larger news organizations to say, hey, here's these people talking about election fraud. And it's because the last 4 years has really made that conversation uncomfortable. And it really puts a target on how do you present this and not just get absolutely slammed for it or sued for it. So I understand that's the issue with a lot of these news organizations. That's why we're looking at independent. That's why we're looking at getting proof as well, right? Like we can talk about the statistics, we can talk about the data, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the paper, right? The ballots themselves are the key to did this happen, did this not? When we get those ballots, when we get those audits, that is when these news organizations will talk about this because it is proof, because it is evidence, and it will be a big deal. But until then, we have to fight this fight, independent, small-time content creators until we get to that point. But we're there, right? We are pushing. We've got our legal stuff lined up to give us the best shots, the best chances going forward. As I said, this week is our call to action in Pennsylvania. If the Secretary of State, if the governor doesn't want to sit down, then it goes down to legal challenges. But there's other states as well we're trying to work with. So that's not something we're public about. But some states have laws against releasing the ballot, some do not. And so we are working all angles. And as I said, we are pushing for the one thing that truly matters right now, and that is let's audit the papers. Let's audit the votes. So, all right. Anything else? I think we'll start the wrap up here. I do see a couple more good people to reach out to in the chat, so let me write those down. I know Politics Girl. I've seen that. I haven't actually reached out to Medias Touch ourselves, to be honest. That'll be interesting. I don't know if they'll cover this at all, but there's all kinds of people that are worth reaching out to, and you don't know what their response will be until you try, right? We didn't know, Mark Thompson would talk about us until we did. We didn't know Christopher Titus would let us on to his show until he said, hey, I saw this concern and we sent him an email. He sent us an email. So we'll make it work. Yep. All right. So we'll wrap up here. Let me just kind of quickly, we'll summarize everything we talked about and then what's upcoming. And then that'll kind of conclude our first, this is technically our second live stream. I feel like this one went way better. Quality was hopefully good. I'd like to do more of these. I'd like to do weekly or bi-weekly, some type of ETA update would be nice. But also I'd like to start like bringing in some other ETA or associated people, and we would talk about stuff and we just do a little sit down and say, hey, here's the concern. I feel like that's more engaging for you guys. So it's something we're working on. What sucks is my time. I am always all over the place, juggling the legal planning and us moving forward there. A little bit of data stuff, and then obviously video creation. So my time on a podcast, I have to really carve that time out for you guys. So if we get some other ETA people who want to step up and help do these podcasts, then you may get some other new faces like David and hopefully others that can answer your questions. So in this, we talked about our week of action. If you're not familiar, again, go look at our YouTube, go look at our website, and go look at our Blue Sky for the Pennsylvania week of action. We're laying out day by day. I need your help. Share those posters. Get your friends and family, your neighbors calling in on these days, reaching out. I need them to be flooded with people saying, "Hey, this is a concern. I need your help for that." And then, as I said, we're looking at the legal aspects in Pennsylvania going forward. We've retained lawyers. We're looking at trying to get in meetings with the Secretary of State and the governor. If that falls through, it's going to probably, be focused legal action, and that sucks. So we don't want that. We want to work with the states. We want to make it really easy on everyone. And then we launched our dashboard, right? Our data dashboard, data.electiontruthealliance.org. Go check that out. We'll have more data up on there. Go download the data. Go play with the data. Let me highlight the data real quick again while we're here. So if you've not seen some of these amazing options we have, but I like the turnout maps. This is a heat map based on the work of Peter Klimek, I believe. And then you have as well some bar charts. I really like these. You're binning the precincts. I will highlight that you want a lot of precincts. So as you get further and further, you want 10 precincts plus or so. So like this precinct here is just one precinct. It could be dropping abnormally. You just want the average of these precincts. The more precincts you have per bin, the more accurate the concern is going to be, because you should see one candidate average at a certain percent, the other candidate average at another percent, and you shouldn't see any change across all precincts as more people showed up to vote. And that's what this is showing for Pennsylvania for election days. We're seeing in the bluest and largest populated county in the state, the Republicans begin to win at precincts of higher turnout. And that doesn't really make sense. So this is all our dashboards highlighting. Go check it out yourself. And then, as we said, we have our Pennsylvania report. It's up on our website. Dr. Walter Mebbin's report for the 3 counties as well, if you want to go read his amazing summary. And I hope we'll be able to put new analysis up soon that he's provided us, and we'll see. North Carolina, I think, is going to be the next big one, and we asked him to validate our concerns there. And then, as I said, we've been doing outreach. Sons of Liberty hosted us. We're going to be going on a radio talk show for 10, 15, 30 minutes tonight. We're going to be talking back on Mark Thompson next week. And I'd like to keep doing some outreach. I'd like to bring more data to the people and talk about, hey, what's coming next. So, and then we'll have our targeted media outreaches, right? Mueller, She Wrote, Politics Girl, all of these people, these are people we should be reaching out to, and we'll send them emails and see if they're interested in talking going forward. So thank you guys so much. We'll end this on the last really good question here is, what do we need to go faster, right? What is our next steps? What's our big pushes? At this point, we're still going to need donations. We're still going to need volunteers. As I said, we've raised over $100,000 in donations, but we haven't stepped into the legal, like the main legal costs, which comes with the lawsuits, as I said. If the counties and the states aren't going to work with us, it falls to lawsuits, and it falls to a lot of money. Some of these lawsuits could range from hundreds of thousands. I think even some of the lowest costs for like a county lawsuit, that'll probably be escalated to state or, the state Supreme Court. It's probably going to be $250,000 to fight that fight. It could be more. But that is the big thing is as we step into these lawsuits and we file these lawsuits, we're really going to need help with the donations and paying for them. And we'll be highlighting that as we go forward, as saying, hey, we filed here and here's the situation, and you can, see it. And then when it comes to what else, we've slowed down a little bit on accepting new volunteers. At this point, we're filling very targeted roles. So if you still want to volunteer and you want to do data analysis, we're looking more for very specific skill sets. Those skill sets are managerial type, like you've led teams, you've worked well with teams, you've got a diverse background in analysis. And then the other half is we do need some programmers and coders. We need content creators like video editors and social media help. And we'll put out another list as well for the new things we need. But we've gotten to the point where we're restructuring internally now. So we've got a bunch of volunteers, but we don't have a really good way to help organize the volunteers. So that's what we've been working on so far. So we did actually have our new server system, our new chat system, all of that kick off, and we are now using that. So we're more organized, and we'll continue to get more organized and then open the floodgates a little more after that. So thank you guys so much. Our last thing is, as I said, as we go forward, we're going to need your help to make this well known. I'm going to be here fighting the fight, making the outreach, talking about the concerns. But we're going to need your help breaking through social media suppression. Our TikTok got taken down. We're hearing every other major content creator who wants to talk about this on TikTok, even on YouTube, is facing suppression, deletion of comments, votes, likes, all of that stuff. So I need your help making this something they can't silence. They can't shut us up about. We make it everywhere. It's too big to suppress, too big to rig. Sorry. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I hope to have some awesome stuff for you in the coming weeks, and I'll kind of end this on why does this matter, right? Why should you care? Why should you stay checked in? Why should we keep fighting this fight? We've come a long way. I know a lot of people feel like we're not going anywhere right now in terms of like the election integrity process. That's not true. As I said, this is a battle that is fought in the long run. And if you get to the point where you're a little concerned, look back at how far we've come, right? Look at the journey, look at the destination. We're not at the destination yet, right? It looks like it's far away. It's on the top of a mountain. It's on the other side of the mountain. You don't focus on how far you have to go. You focus on how far have I come? What have I done? And am I willing to keep going? And I'll tell you guys this. I am willing to keep going. The ETA is willing to keep going. And as I said, and I've said this time and time again, I've already made sacrifices to be here and fight this fight with you guys. I am not going to give this fight up. We've come too far, and we are on a roll. Our momentum is here. We are pushing, and I'm not going to stop until we know the truth. And I hope you guys are in it for the long run as well. So thank you guys so much. We have to fight this fight now, because if there is a compromise of our election system, right? If our votes are being changed, and we have concerns of not only the 24 election, but the 2020 election as well. But as we will put out in reports, it's different. The concern is, if you could do this in this last election, you can do this going forward. You can change the outcome of upcoming elections, the midterms, the next presidential. So this is a fight that has to be fought now, because it may, if it happened, it is a big deal. And there may be no second chance, right? There may be no next time. There may be no choice in the future. And so I'm willing to fight this fight now so that we make sure we do get a choice and you guys get a choice, and we go from there. So thank you guys so much. You're amazing. You deserve more of my time. And as I said, I hope to have more of these for you in the near future. So thank you guys. Be safe. If you can help out, take care of yourselves, take care of your friends, your family, your neighbors, spread the word. Thank you guys so much.